Guys, have you ever been lost and then found? Because I know that I have, and I'm so excited to be back. We are covering season 2, episode 4. We missed last week, but we are back, so stay tuned.
You're tuned in to AfterBuzz TV, the ESPN of TV talk. Now, let the buzz begin.
This is totally my parents.
I thought it was appropriate.
I love it. I love it. It is fire. Fire. Guys, welcome back to the after show, Station 19. We are back. We are sorry to have missed last week, but guess what? We have a new co-host. Tsahai's in the building.
Hello, everybody. My name is Tsahai. For those who don't know me, I'm so excited to be here.
Happy to have you.
Thank you so much. This show, as a fan of Shonda shows, I'm excited to talk about this one, so I can't wait to get into it.
Yeah, Shonda and Stacy are my besties. We have a love-hate relationship when they play with my emotions.
It's hard, but we're going to get through it.
We always get through it, though, don't we? So this episode, guys, Lost and Found, your overall thoughts on just everything that happened last week.
It was interesting to see the development of these characters in season 2, how Vic finally went and got some help, and that led to some other, surprises for her, and the growth of these relationships. And so overall, I really enjoyed episode 4.
Yeah, I enjoyed episode 4, and I was pleasantly surprised that I wasn't as irritated with Andy. Like, I started to see her character not be as selfish, because I felt so far this season she's been completely selfish. And we saw a different side of her in episode 4. And we also saw her kind of getting back in the swing of things.
Yes, I'm glad you said that, because as I watched season 1 and going into season 2, getting to know Andy, I was like, okay, she bothers me at times. So I wasn't sure if we'd disagree, but I'm glad we're here. We see that she's flawed, but she has a good heart. And yeah, she's getting her groove back.
Yeah.
Andy's getting her groove back.
She really is.
But she's still messy, though.
Oh, she's all the way messy. and if you watch our show and we all keep talking about this, you'll see that I say she loves her job and is passionate about her job, but she is messy in her personal life.
Very much so.
Like, all the way. And she loves it being that way, I think.
Yes.
So let's jump right in. So let's talk about Captain Pruitt and Ryan. Mm-hmm. So we saw them, Captain Pruitt building this fire truck, and we see Ryan kind of hanging out. And I've noticed that Ryan is really there for him. It's almost like it's his second father. And as we move on and we talk about in the next episode, we see why he really has bonded with Captain Pruitt and why he's taking him to doctor's appointments and just bouncing ideas off of him and just really being supportive.
When you have someone that you've grown up with and when you've had a parent that's unstable, to have that stable male figure in your life is so helpful, and I think that's what Captain Pruitt is for Ryan.
Yep.
It is very sweet to see that relationship. A part of me is like, okay, is it the bond between the guys, or is it partially like him trying to low-key impress Andy at the same time? I think to me it's a little bit of both, but Ryan's such a good guy.
Yeah.
And so I think he's genuinely doing it out of the kindness of his heart.
I think so, because we've seen in flashbacks that he used to be a little bit of a troublemaker, and Pruitt was there for him the whole time, like bailed him out of jail, so it was really that father figure for him.
Right.
Vic and Dean. Mm-hmm. So in episode 4, in this episode, we really see that Dean is uncomfortable with all the people that are coming in and out of his house. And I thought it was hilarious that Vic pulled up with her kayak.
I mean, overdoing it.
Uninvited, but invited by Jack, who doesn't even live there. Like, hey, let's have bagels and cream cheese. But what I did like about this is that they're really forcing Dean out of his comfort zone. And I know that your home is supposed to be your castle.
Yes, it should be.
Right?
Yes.
But I also think that they're a family, and he isolates himself a little bit at home. Like, they didn't know until the previous episode where he lived.
But look how they treated his place, like a clubhouse, as soon as they did find out about it. I don't know how you grew up, but for me, we do not answer the door for uninvited guests. So people showing up with kayaks and food, I don't care. I'm gonna look through the peephole and be like, who are you?
Yeah, but they're, they risk their lives together, so they're really, connected. And I do think that Dean should not be so one man,
Guarded.
like just like a one man band,
But do
because
you
that's his family, and Jack is his best friend.
Yes, but okay, you have your coworkers and you have your work relationship. Do you still like interact with them outside of work, or do you kind of need a break from them after work?
I would say in regular jobs
Yes.
that it's separate and sometimes
Okay.
you hang out. But I think as a firefighter where you spend a lot of time sleeping at the fire station and you put your lives in each other's hands, that is a little bit of a different relationship. I don't know.
I know, but sometimes I still need to separate the two to kind of recover, to regroup,
That's
to
fair.
get my mind right, to prepare for such something that's so intense. So to have them in my face, in my space, for me was a bit much. So I understood, but then we saw how it actually helped him in
Right.
the
And
long
and it
run.
helped both of them.
Yeah.
And as the episode went on, we saw why. Again, I think that this was important for not only Dean but for Jack as well.
But the kayak was a bit too much. Like,
She's like, no, I brought my own kayak. It's like genius, genius. So we saw Ben and Travis. So we see in this episode that Travis is having some problems with Grant and looks at Ben and Miranda's relationship as the ideal relationship. But Ben talks a little bit that there's some Miranda troubles, like she's been stressed out, so it's making him stressed out. And Grant is like having, or Travis is having problems with Grant because Grant has been so attentive ever
Right.
since he got hurt.
right.
So I think that it in this episode has been interesting because you would think you would want that. Like I get he was more the caregiver, and so there's no like spark
Right.
in that, but he was also there for you when it's a brand new relationship.
Totally. And after a time that something so tragic happened. But is there a couple, like, I try not to idolize or any couple or any individual because you never know what's going on behind closed doors. But is there a couple that you say, okay, that's couple goals?
I mean, okay, so I'm a huge Shonda fan. I watch all her shows, and Miranda and Ben are my couple. They've been through a lot, and Miranda's been through other relationships.
Right.
So I've just been happy to see a couple, that looks like me on TV. So they're kind of like couple goals. And yeah, I love that they're both professionals and all of that stuff.
Yeah, I agree. I love Ben and Miranda too. They are like it does show that representation does matter. I've been recently catching up on Red Table Talks where Will Smith and Jada Pinkett Smith have been revealing more about their relationship. And for me, they've kind of been couple goals in a sense. Yes,
Okay.
there've been the rumors about swinging and open relationships and things like that. But after watching how they've grown together, I really feel like they're relationship goals for me now.
Okay.
So
Okay.
that's my real
I
life
thought we were
relationship
sticking in
goals.
Shondaland.
Oh,
But yeah,
sorry,
yeah,
sorry.
yeah. I get what you're saying. I get what you're saying. And I am stuck in Shondaland. Shonda.
We're bringing it back.
But bringing it back. So, that was an interesting conversation because you realize that Travis really does kind of look up to Ben
Yeah.
for like relationships. And then as we move forward, we see why. And then next up was Sullivan. So Sullivan did a lineup. So we find out in this one that he's still on this strict, I'm going to whip Station 19 into shape. And he assigned specialties. And one of the specialties was Andy in recruitment.
Right.
And she wasn't having it.
No.
She was like, I am not a behind the desk type of person. I'm active and I want to be out there and all of that. And we also see him assign Maya more of like an incident chief.
Right.
And he used it on that first call for them. So she had to be like, you're in charge. What are we going to do? And Andy had to take it. And she didn't want to take it. She was rolling her eyes. I was like, are we back to old Andy already?
She can be such a spoiled sport
Yeah.
sometimes. It's like she always wants to, I mean, like I said, she means well, but she doesn't have to do everything herself. And she just has to learn how to play well with others sometimes.
Yeah, and I've said this over and over again. In that station house, she's not the most experienced.
True.
Yes, she's made lieutenant now, but she's not the only one that should be running the show.
Right.
And now that there's a new captain, obviously you have to listen to your superior's direction. And in this call, he's directing Maya to lead it.
Right.
And so we hear Maya's plan, and then what happens? Andy comes out, and she's like, I think we should sweep the perimeter and do this. And I was just like, really?
Do you think she just can't like hold it back? Like she's just so used to being the leader that it just comes out naturally, and it's actually harder for her to hold her tongue.
But Tsahai, she was never the leader at Station 19.
I know, but I feel like maybe her dad spoiled her.
I think that she, we all knew last season that she thought she was going to be the captain.
Totally. She thought she was a shoo-in.
Yeah. So, I mean,
but growing up around the station, knowing that her dad was the captain, I feel like she just grew up thinking, like she grew up as a leader and automatically thinking she was just going to lead everybody.
Yeah, I think that's probably true. Speaking of lead everybody, we should lead our listeners and viewers into some insight about AfterBuzz.
Yes. So, hey, AfterBuzzers. Our network produces after shows for nearly all of your favorite TV shows. From dramas, reality TV, sci-fi, and more, there is no network that works harder to serve television fans. But we need your help. We're asking that you please subscribe to one or more of our YouTube channels. By subscribing to our channel, YouTube will suggest content that's tailor-made for you, and you'll help AfterBuzz continue to grow, which is super important. And if you're worried about notifications, don't be, because they're optional, which is great. So hit the subscribe button now for this channel, and check out our other AfterBuzz YouTube channels as well. Let us know that you did in the comments so we can give you a shout out on air. And for now, thanks for being the best fans and for helping us be the ESPN of TV talk. And speaking of giving you a shout out, there were some people in the comments last week that we'd love to thank.
Yes.
Gemini 3, Kat Harlem, and T. Kens. Thank you so much for your comments. Please, we can't wait to hear your comments about this week's episode as well.
Yes. Thank you for commenting. Thank you for watching. Thank you for subscribing. I think Gemini 3 was the new subscriber, and I was like, woohoo, let's do that. Ryan, so what I loved about this episode is we learned a little bit more about Ryan's background and who he is and what's going on with his life. So we see Ryan come in, do that tactical bust. They're breaking up like a illegal gambling, whatever. Ugh. And turns out his dad, who has been in town for 2.5 months, completely hasn't reached out to his own son, is there and is hiding so that he's avoiding arrest. I was just like,
tricky situation, yes.
Is it?
It is. Can you imagine doing your job and then bam, seeing a relative doing something illegal, and then them? It's embarrassing. Like he's trying to do his. When you're at work, you compartmentalize. You're focused on work, and then if something happens with your family, then you shift. But in this situation, Ryan had to combine the two. And then also it's not like he had like a very loving relationship with his dad.
Well, that's what I was going to say. I think that what I got out of it was there's some deep-seated issues.
Totally.
And it shocked him to see his dad back, because perhaps his dad has been gone for however long that we don't know yet.
Right.
But it was shocking to him and disturbing to him, and he really wasn't trying to hear his dad in anything.
I think just like with Andy, like this is something that shook Ryan up. Just
to
like,
the core.
Yeah,
yep.
And he didn't know how to react. So he was just immediately angry and lashed out at his dad. But his dad, I just have to say, Dermot Mulroney, so handsome. Welcome. So what a great addition.
I think the whole Station 19 is a bunch of hotties.
Yes. But to see an OG with the gray hair like a silver fox, I was like, yes. Thank you, Shonda.
And Stacey.
Thank you,
yes.
Shonda and Stacey.
Yes. So we see Ryan's dad, Greg, telling Ryan that he's really trying to straighten out his life. Mm-hmm. But Ryan doesn't trust him at all, because he has no reason to trust this guy. Mm-hmm. And you've been here, like I said, for 2.5 months, and all of a sudden you're like, hey, I'm back, and here's my number, and I really enjoyed watching you work. Yeah. But what was interesting to me was, I think one of the reasons that Ryan became a cop was because his dad was a criminal. And he even said that he learned how to think like a bad guy through his dad.
I know. I mean, when someone that has hurt you, like a relative, says, I've made a change. Do you believe them, or are you still a bit skeptical?
I think actions speak louder than words. And considering that, again, he had been there and not reached out, that shows me in this situation that maybe you haven't changed at all.
Maybe he was trying to get everything together to present the complete new person to
So
Ryan.
he was at an illegal gambling ring,
I know, but he was
hiding in the bathroom. So you tell me what part of that he was really putting it all
Right,
together.
what had happened was he was trying to make the money so that he could take Ryan out to dinner. I'm sure he has an excuse, a
That
reason for it.
$300K he's really taking Ryan out to a fancy dinner.
Yes.
And then so we see kind of that dynamic roll out, and it'll be interesting to see what happens next with them, right? But the dad, as part of news and gossip, the dad has an arc on the show, so we'll see a few episodes with him in it.
I'm excited to see him further. Also, just a little bit of back to change. You know, Ryan changed. Remember, he had the difficult past. So if Ryan could change, maybe his dad could change too.
Okay, so Ryan changed when he was younger and had more to lose, and he also had someone guiding him. He had Captain Pruitt guiding him and helping him. This dude, I don't know. We'll see. Maybe he has changed. What do you guys think? Do you think he's changed? And if you do, let us know in the comments. If you don't, also let us know in the comments. Did want to talk about Vic and Travis real quick. So we see in this episode that they're still having problems. And we also see that the captain... Ripley is basically like, you guys need to go to this trauma therapy and work your stuff out over there.
Right.
Stop taking it to the job, right? It's distracting, which I agree. So they go, but they didn't go together, which I thought was interesting. Yeah. And, you know, Travis wasn't originally going to go, but Ben, he likes to talk to Ben, his work wife, which I thought was super cute.
Very cute.
But he went, and I think that was good that he went, because we find out that Ripley also goes and kind of leads that whole group.
Yes, it's amazing in television and film. It's always like at therapy, people have this bond. So I always find it interesting because when you're in a group therapy session, you're not just one-on-one with the therapist. You're telling strangers all your business. And sometimes I guess it is easier to tell a stranger something than it is like someone you know.
But the thing with this group is that they're all firefighters.
True.
And they've all been through some type of trauma.
I know, but they just don't know each other.
But they do. They're like, the firefighters are like a family.
I guess I'm still like processing
Tsahai doesn't believe it, but these firefighters, they really are like a family. And even if you work at a different station, you're still part of the family. Okay. So, guys, do you remember when I said that I saw a little something with Vic and I saw a little something with Chief Riley? And you see it in this group. You see her come up to him after and just be like, hey, she was awkward. I was like, why is she
her stepping to him, or was it him approaching her? Like,
no,
what did you
she
think?
stepped to him for sure and said, hey, you know, you did a good talk or whatever. And I was like, oh, she's being weird. What's going on here? Because she really was being a little weird.
Mind you, this is on the heels of, in season 1, her screaming at him. So, But even then, when I was watching it, I was like, he seemed a little like intrigued by her getting that riled.
How dare she? Yeah.
But no, but he kind of liked it.
Yeah.
So even back then. So I feel like this has been brewing for a while.
It definitely has. And then we ran this whole thing out. We see, and I wanted to also mention Maya being in charge and what you thought of that. Because I thought she froze on this call.
Well, you know, she had the situation where there was no water available, so it definitely threw her off. But I like seeing Maya in charge. I like when Andy is thrown off, and I like seeing another. You know, Maya has always been a champion for all the women at firefighters in general and at Station 19 especially. So it was good to see her in spite of these difficult calls she had to make, and Sullivan actually like reprimanding her.
Yeah.
But I was happy to see her get that chance.
I do. I mean, I did like seeing her in charge. I just felt like she froze a little bit, but she's going to get better with time. The more more opportunities she gets, the better that she's going to be. Guys, I think we covered everything for episode 4. We are going to soldier on. Stick with us, because next up, we are going to cover episode 5. Yep. Okay. Perfect, guys. And then if you want to reach out to us, you can find me on social media everywhere at Linda is So Girly and my new co-host.
Hey, everybody, you can find me at Tsahai. That's SayHitSahai.
Love it. Till next time, guys, stick around.
Our founder, Kevin Undergaro, Phil Svitek, and me, Maria Menounos, would like to thank you for tuning in to AfterBuzz TV. Remember, we're not just the first, we're the biggest in the world, and we're the only destination for all your favorite TV shows. Whatever you crave, we've got it. So go to AfterBuzzTV.com and check out our lineup. Buzz you later.
The views expressed herein are those of the hosts only and do not necessarily reflect the views of AfterBuzz TV or its owners or principals.